If you're getting patient referrals, but most of them are not a good fit, I'm here to tell you it doesn't have to be that way. And in fact, there's quite an easy fix. So in this video, we'll look at the symptoms, causes, treatments, and prognosis regarding this issue. So you can start seeing the right patients for your practice and start disqualifying the wrong ones even before they contact you. Because no one wants to waste time on pointless intro calls that go nowhere. You want compelling conversations with soon-to-be happy patients. As a health education specialist with many years of experience inside the marketing world, this is an issue I've seen multiple doctors want to address in their own practice. So don't sweat it. Let's see if you're in a similar boat and lay out a simple treatment plan for you to fix this. Starting with symptoms, let's unpack what you might commonly notice after you meet with a potential patient that was kindly sent your way. You could feel like this was a waste of your time and theirs because for whatever reason, you're clearly not the right provider for them. You might notice that the vast majority of these calls just don't become patients, or they tend to discover some detail about your practice during the call and that turns them away. So it could be that you're cash only or you're subscription based and they wanted pay per visit, or you don't treat their specific case, something like that. And if you experience any one of those symptoms, there's something wrong, right? But again, it's not uncommon. This typically has at least one of two causes. If you spent time thinking about this, you may have found that number one, your messaging is unclear, or two, whoever's referring you to people doesn't really understand your practice, which ultimately is due to unclear messaging. When you don't consistently promote your practice with the same concise and clear messaging, everyone starts to have their own idea of what you do, right? Now all of a sudden there's like 100 different versions of you floating around in the minds of the public, which is why you can't get the same type of person who's a perfect fit for your practice when you take those referral calls. This is how messaging becomes unclear. You don't have a 1 to 2 sentence sort of elevator pitch that you've refined for people. So you just say whatever comes to mind when discussing your practice. You generalize your practice and don't disqualify anyone. So you could say something like, your unique path to wellness begins here, or get the best personalized integrative medicine healthcare. What? Your website, your directory listings like IFM, your social media, all those platforms say something different. Providers have to go off of memory based on your unclear messaging when they refer you. And if any of these ring true, feel free to hit pause and take a moment to make note of what does ring true. And with that, let's look at the most effective treatment protocol in your arsenal with little to no side effects. First and foremost, you've got to create that elevator pitch. This is something you'll hear me talk about all the time, and I call it your core clinical promise, which simply is a 1 to 2 sentence story of the patient journey. Let's break it down with an example. Your core clinical promise contains these 4 components: who you help, their main health problem they're concerned about, what outcome they desire, and how you get them to that outcome. And you'll notice you can't be abstract here, and you can't really speak to multiple types of patients or conditions. So you have to pick the ideal patient your practice treats. This doesn't mean it's forever. It doesn't mean you can't treat other types of patients that will occasionally slip through the cracks and get in touch with you. But the beautiful thing when you define your core promise is that you flip your problem on its head. You go from being frustrated when the majority of your calls aren't the right fit to then getting excited when you have the opportunity to take on a unique case because it's no longer common. Now, you could have 30 plus of these intro calls every single month, and they could all take up about 30 minutes of your day. So optimizing these saves time and money, something we all want, right? Here's an example of a solid core clinical promise. This is for a longevity doctor. Let's say his name is Dr. Van Frankenworth. I don't know. Who he helps are people at risk for dementia or Alzheimer's. Their main health concern could be early brain changes. Their desired outcome, reduce their risk, and how he helps them is through advanced testing and personalized prevention plans. Here's the core promise written out. We help people at risk for dementia or Alzheimer's identify early brain changes and reduce their risk through advanced testing and personalized prevention plans. Now that's clear messaging. And when our buddy Dr. Van Frankenworth is at a dinner party or a networking event or at the dog park, he's got a clear, concise answer to everyone's favorite question, what do you do? Now he's controlling the narrative about his practice, and those referrals are going to improve. So consider your experience, your expertise, and your passion to develop your core clinical promise, and then the rest is easy. Update every place you're located online to reflect this core promise, your website homepage, your bio and directories, business description on your Google Business profile, social media accounts, you get it. This reinforces your messaging, and marketing is all about making your message stick. It just takes consistency and repetition. The next thing to do is have business cards and brochures available for providers and professionals who might refer you. This way, they don't have to rely as much on their memory, even though if your messaging is good enough, they will know exactly what you do. But when they have something tangible to refer to, they'll be less likely to send someone your way that's not the best fit. And for the final element of your treatment plan, which is especially useful if nothing else works, is to create a living document that makes note of common questions and objections that are raised during your intro calls. This can be a game changer when it comes to disqualifying patients. You don't want to get through 14 minutes of your call and then they tell you it's a deal breaker because you don't work with insurance. You also don't want to spend every call answering the same questions over and over again. So identify those FAQs and common objections and address them front and center everywhere your business is present online, and add them to your brochures you hand out to your partners too. Here's something to consider. If you find that there's a detail about your practice that's a deal breaker for many potential patients who would otherwise be a great fit, you might consider updating your practice to accommodate them if possible. For example, if they're not comfortable with the subscription to start and would rather pay per visit, it might be a good idea to build that doctor-patient relationship first on a pay-per-visit basis, then try to convince them of the benefits of your membership plan. Then, everyone wins. Now that I've laid out a treatment protocol, let's look at how long it should take to overcome this ailment. Depending on how prevalent you are online and in your community, you can greatly improve your referrals in, I'd say, 4 to 8 weeks. Here's a typical timeline. Week 1, define your core clinical promise. Weeks 2 through 4, update your messaging online and create new print materials, so the business cards and brochures we mentioned. Weeks 4 through 8, take note of FAQs and objections and update your messaging and practice accordingly. That's all it takes. I hope this video was helpful. My only goal here is to help you help more people. So hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for future videos. We'll talk soon.